He laid his wrong garments out on the rocks by the clean dishes. He gave her a sour look and said, "Paolo does not love you, Cat. He only wants your dowry money." "That is a cruel thing to say, Fabian. You do not know him and how much he loves me. He told me he does." He came to her side and sat down next to her on the fallen log. He tilted her chin to make her look at him. "It is the truth, Caterina. I talked to Gino, the other soldier with him." "Yes, I know who Gino is," she said quietly. "They are friends, Cat, but Gino did tell me what your Paolo confided to him. I am sorry, but that is what he said." She hung her head in disappointment. Fabian got up again to put his other supplies back into his saddlebag. "Do you have a brush, Fabian? I will fix your hair." He found his comb and handed it to her. She stayed on the log, and he sat on the ground in front of her. "Do you have nothing to say, Caterina?" he asked as she pulled the comb to unknot his nearly dried hair. "Gino is wrong," she answered, then sulked again. "Did you sleep with Paolo?" Fabian was compelled to ask. She tugged on his hair a little too hard, and he winced. After a moment he insisted, "Well, did you?" "No, Fabian, I did not. He is a gentleman. It is wrong of you to think otherwise." "That is good to hear, Caterina, but that does not change my opinion of him. He is not even an officer, and I understand he does not inherit much himself. He needs a wife with a good dowry to supplement his income." "He does not want to marry me for my dowry, Fabian. Now, give me your cord." He handed it to her, and she tied the leather band around his smoothed hair at the base of his neck. He stood and bent to kiss her on her forehead. "Believe it what you like, Cat. I hope it works out for you, but do not count on it." He held out his hand to take the comb back, and she gave it to him. "Fabian, will you comb out my hair now?" she added sadly. "I miss that." He smiled tenderly at her. She was his favorite sister. When she was a little girl, he would sometimes brush her hair at night while he told her a story. He walked behind her now, undid her damp braid, and unwound the strands. She had lovely silky hair, and he untangled it gently. "Will you want a story with this?" He leaned over her narrow shoulder and whispered, "Maybe a ghost story." "No stories," she giggled. Then more quietly she told him, "I just want your company. I feel like we may never see each other again if I am sent to Hungary. I do not want to go, Fabian." He took a moment to breathe deeply and found his voice. "I know that," he agreed sadly. He combed her long hair to a glossy sheen. He cleared his throat, then asked, "What did you want done with it, Caterina?" He only knew how to pin her hair one way, but she liked that he always asked first. She held out her ivory combs to him and answered, "Maybe just a twist." He twisted the length into a figure 8 and then placed the 2 combs along each side to hold it. He leaned over her and embraced her shaking shoulders. "Shh! Do not cry, Caterina," he whispered. He knew she was right. They might never see each other again, but he needed to give her hope to keep her strong. "Your new husband will let you visit Venice after a time, and I will see you there." "Do you really think so?" She looked up at him, her big brown eyes pleading for the truth. "I do," he lied to his sister, struggling to hold back his own tears. She nodded sadly, wanting to believe him that it would work out. "My hat is in the tent," she said unexpectedly. "I do not want to get too much sun and look brown for my wedding." "You go fetch it then. I will take the horses back and then wait here again. Come tell me when the others are ready to start breakfast." She began to leave down the path, but turned to say, I had hoped you could fix my troubles for me, but I will not despair. I find some comfort in seeing Lady Therese with Mauritius. They did not know each other. Is it possible that my husband will love me like that? What should Fabian tell her? That Mauritius did not want to marry his wife? That it took him nearly a year to fall in love with her? And how Lady Therese had been left alone for much of that time, most likely contemplating her own unhappiness? Instead, he answered, Father has gone through a lot of trouble to find a favorable match for you. He wants you to be happy, Caterina. You will have to trust his judgment that he has chosen well. She seemed to regain her strength and nodded again that she would trust him. She turned and disappeared down the path to the beach while Fabian watched her go.